Hi everybody, this is Craig Tanner for The Mindful Eye and the photo of the week on the Daily Critique. This week's photo of the week was submitted by Nick, who is an intermediate photographer from North Carolina. The backstory: Nick says that he really enjoys photographing piers and that he's been photographing them for years. And for the metadata, Nick shot this with a Canon XTI. He used an effective focal length of around 30 millimeters, so semi-wide. And Nick at ISO 100 stopped down to f11 and exposed the file for a 30th of a second. Right away, I just love this quality of light with this real sort of brooding feeling of almost a storm at twilight, and then the sun breaking through and creating this really beautiful color and quality of line in this part of the image. So there's a real powerful feeling of dramatic light in the image. It extends to this time of day where we're still getting a feeling of the light coming from the pier lights. There's also a really beautiful feeling of dramatic color depth, because where the light is hitting has gone very yellow-orange, and that plays off of blue, and the orange-blue color complementary pair in nature when we're photographing landscapes and natural things is just such a powerful juxtaposition of warm and cool and sort of inviting and then more mysterious and in the distance. Very, very powerful color and light. And one of the other things I love about this image is this particular pier itself. You really get the sense of weathered and survivor and time and age. There's just such a feeling of movement as this pier has aged, and just the construction materials themselves. It's pretty easy, even in silhouette, to get a sense that this pier is built largely out of wood. And the combination of the wood and the undulation and the movement and the age that suggests is very powerful. And right when you look at the image, you see the pier and you see that movement, and then that starts to set up a whole series of very powerful rhythms that creates visual unity here. You have the pier that undulates and moves like this, the dominant quality of line created by the sun breaking through, sort of the stormy feeling of clouds on the horizon, rhymes this undulating quality of line. And then there's just a whole series of rhythms. The longer you look at this image, the more you can see them. This corner creates a wedge shape, and Nick has composed this in a way where the breaking wave down here and difference between the beach and the reflected water is sort of the high tide mark. That creates a wedge. This is larger, this is smaller. Really beautiful dynamic movement of those shapes from corner to corner. Real strong cross-hatching on the diagonal just with the pier itself moving in the other direction. And then a lot of minor rhymes that are really beautiful in the image. This is a real strong line in the image. It plays off of this wave that's beautifully breaking up this space over here, and then this wave. Those ideas rhyme and form a really beautiful triad in the image that creates a cross-hatching feeling, which can be real powerful from a design standpoint. And all of that diagonal movement, I think, really helps Nick sort of get away with shooting up here and getting some of this keystoning that's happening on the vertical pier supports and in the lights. I love what's happening there with the reflected light in this part of the image and the kind of movement that creates. There's several different places where you can kind of come through here and then move out into the image, and then this just pulls you back around in such a powerful way. There's such a powerful feeling of movement and staying inside of the image here for all the reasons that we've talked about. Another thing that I want to mention, I think it's a good time to mention it here at the beginning of the year, and it's just two things that I think are a real powerful takeaway from this photo of the week that you could carry through the whole year. You know, when I look at Nick's backstory here, it's so simple, and he's really referencing two ideas that are so powerful. One, he says, I really enjoy the piers of North Carolina. And there's nothing else to the backstory except that have been photographing them for years. You know, so the first part here is we can really tend to overcomplicate things. And I know everybody doesn't share this as far as a belief system, but I really believe that first, we're here to enjoy life ourselves. It's very, very difficult to sort of take on any kind of service for other people unless you're at a place where you're first calm, and then hopefully you're moving towards a state of joy. And just taking a picture of something that brings you a lot of joy and then sharing it with another person, to me that sort of takes it to the ultimate level of kind of presence and being. First being in joy and then sharing that with a purpose. I don't think it needs to be any more complicated than that. So just really encourage you to remember this year to enjoy, have fun, be happy, move towards the things that bring you joy. And I think the other really powerful thing that Nick is mentioning in this super short condensed backstory, have been photographing them for years, it's just the idea of practicing, consciously practicing, and in a space where we're happy. So you pick a subject matter that you love and let that sort of be your guiding light instead of trying to bounce from thing to thing to thing and to be so fractured where your intent is to impress. It's really not to have fun. But if you say, I'm gonna move towards something that makes me feel at the least calm and peace and at the best joy, and then over time I'll make a project out of spending time in that environment and then see what happens. Something amazing will happen over time. That's just conscious practice. And so I want to say a big thank you to Nick for sharing the image, but also for reminding us about these two sort of very basic things in terms of being creative and just being human. And again, want to say a big thank you to all of you for all of your support so far. We're looking forward to a great year. We'd really love to have you make submissions to the Mindful Eye. Daily Critique is up and running strong, and our Inspiration Image Showcase is about to be up and running strong. We have several of those portfolio presentations in the can, and would love to get your submissions for the photo of the week as well. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great weekend. Hope to see you soon on the Mindful Eye.